Cool. Sorry, I coughed there right at the beginning, which is good. Anyway, welcome to the Cluster API Provider AWS office hours on Monday, the 7th of February, 2022. Just a reminder, we abide by the CNCF Code of Conduct, so please be kind to each other. The meeting notes I will share in a minute into the chat window. Please add yourself to the list of the attendees and any topics you would like to discuss in the agenda. Just a reminder, we use the raise hands feature. So if you'd like to talk, please raise your hand and then that'll be good. Looking at the participant list, is anyone new to a Kappa? If you are, feel free to unmute yourself and say hello.
Hey folks, I'm Abhinav and I've just recently got to know about Kappa, and I've actually started contributing from today itself, and I've got in touch with Richard and he has been nothing but very helpful and kind to me so far. Thank you so much for that, Richard. And yeah, I would like to contributing to the project, and there are a few issues that I've been working on at the moment, and maybe we can discuss the issues in this meeting itself or maybe offline, like in the Slack channel. But yeah, it's totally up to how we plan on taking this meeting forward. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. Yeah. Well, welcome, Abhinav. Yeah. So if there is something you would like to discuss in this meeting, yeah, feel free in the in that document. Sorry, if you add it to that, we can talk about it. So yeah, so that's not a problem. So yeah, future meetings, if you're stuck with anything, or you want to get a wider input on something, yeah, feel free to add it to any of the office hours meetings. And Sedef will be coming along probably in about 15 minutes, but she will be joining in a bit. And yeah, Winnie, on your comment about the calendar invite. So yeah, the PR has been done in the Kate's community repo to move the time, but it doesn't appear to have moved the time in the calendar. And we also did a PR for the meeting notes as well. So were you referring to the time or the meeting notes? I definitely know the time has not worked. Cool. So let's get started with the agenda. So we don't have any PSAs today, so we can move on to the action items. So for the ones that Sedef had, so Sedef was going to create an issue for the flat car images. So she's marked that as done, but we can, when Sedef joins, we can come back to that if needed. I had an action item also to update the launch template proposal, which I will we're covering later on in the agenda, so don't need to talk about it now. And then Sedef also had a action item to review the ignition PR. We both took an action item to see if there was any built-in notification in Prowl. So I didn't look into that, in all honesty, and I know that Sedef has put a note in there to say the weekly reminder in the Slack channel, which someone checked today, which is good. Cool. So moving on to the agenda, if there's any questions on that to start with. No? Good. Cool. So Winnie, you got the first agenda item on persistent logging.
Yeah, could you open the issue?
Yep.
Yes, I've been actually spending some time reviewing our weekly output log, or just running the Kappa. And I noticed that our logging levels and log formats are not very consistent. So for example, if you look at the first example, some reconcilers are at level 0, some are at level 2, and mostly at level 2, but there are some inconsistencies. And also if you look at number 2, the log formats of the controllers are actually pretty different. So I've been actually wondering about it for a while. So yes, I actually listed a few examples but I hope to gather some inputs from the community. If they saw any like inconsistency, what they want to improve. So I will probably post it in a Slack also, because we don't have a lot of people in office hour. But feel free to add like your cases or like your opinion.
Cool. Yeah, on that one, I did add a note down at the bottom here. So Gogo has also been working on a related issue, which is someone raised the. So I can open that one as well, so we can have a look. So it's sort of related. So when they were looking at the logs, they wanted an easy way to be able to grep, info or trace or error log lines. So it's sort of in a related area. So it might be worth also, I guess, chatting with Scarslow. So Gogo, which it'd be good. There was also actually, I don't know if did anyone else see this? Where are we? Can I open that? So did anyone else see the email about the deprecation of the Klog flags, which is also in the login area? So in 123, is it from? No, in 123 release notes, they mentioned about deprecation of the login flags as well. So I think there's probably some work in that area that we need to think about, or at least make sure we're not using the flags that are going to be deprecated. But Winnie, I don't know how you'd feel about like just setting up a quick call, maybe just get all the people that are interested in logging and making it better together.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that'd be quite good. Cool. So any questions on that? No raised hands. Cool. So the next one is me. So I have updated the launch template proposal based on discussions that I had with Richard Chen, who's doing the work. So if you have any comments, that's actually that's another thing. So yes, the proposal's there. It's the PR. So you can either add any comments to the PR, but what I've also done is added it as a GitHub discussion as well. So you can always click through to the discussion and just read it there if you want. Is anyone interested in me just taking people through what the proposal says? Or do you just want to read it?
Yeah, I have gone through it. So I'm pretty new. Maybe it sounds like a new question, but I want to understand so in this proposal we are talking about like we are launching the AWS launch template for managed machine pools, right? And currently we have certain fields that we are using, like the AMI type and other fields that you were mentioning. So my question is like how introducing AWS launch template will help others, because we already have certain fields, so why are we not using them? Like why there is a need to launch a new field?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a number of so this problem is specifically with the managed machine pools. So when you create a managed machine pool in with the EKS API, you can create it with just things like the AMI and the instance type, which doesn't necessarily create a launch template explicitly. So you don't have access via the API call to the full range of options that you can get with a launch template, which is different to how we're doing it with normal machine pool or AWS machine pool.
So basically launch template will help us in like basically we just provide the ID and it autofills all the four fields. Is it like that? I'm not aware about the launch template, so maybe I sound like.
So this will essentially reuse. So there's basically a struct that we use in the AWS machine pool currently, where it exposes some of the properties of a machine pool, and the existing controller for that will create a launch template for you, and it versions it as well for you. So if you change it, it will create a new version of that. So with this, we're proposing we adopt the same mechanism basically. So it's consistent between the machine pools. But yeah, that's a good point actually. So you might want to bring your own machine, bring your own launch template, because I think that was what you're sort of suggesting, what if you said if you just supplied a launch template ID. Yeah, I think it does that actually, to be honest. Let me just, I'll take a note to double check that. Yeah, that's a good question. So we did consider one alternative. So again, if this is of interest, so one other option was, let's go down. So the alternative was to create a new API kind, essentially AWS launch template, and that would be reconciled separately as not part of the reconciliation of the machine pool. So a bit like the bootstrap. So AWS, we would define all the properties of in this AWS launch template CRD. It would reconcile and it would create that new launch template in AWS, and it would version it, and then we would put a reference to that into the machine pools. So that was one alternative considered as well. Go for it, Shivani.
So like if we go with this approach, then it can be useful like for the machine pool, and both like for machine pool and manage and unmanaged. But like, do we consider like during proposals, do we also consider the effort estimation or something, any efforts that we require to do it? Because there will be a lot of changes if we go with this approach. So do we also consider like while selecting any solutions?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess that's effort for actual implementation, and then there's things like long-term effort if we need to deprecate fields across multiple specs. So actually, that's one of the things that this alternative that we considered. So that it would require deprecation of fields in two CRDs, so in AWS machine pool and AWS managed machine pool, which is a lot of effort. So that's it's very much part of it.
But otherwise, it's useful. Like we can then use it in maybe in future if we introduce anything else also. But effort-wise, it takes time. Yeah.
But yeah, if you feel free to comment on the discussion or the PR. So it's those type of things we need to make sure that we've covered off.
Sure, I'll add.
Cool.
Thanks.
So, so this is another one. So we currently have an issue with the release notes generation. So we are currently using the CLI from the Kubernetes release repo. So there is a problem with that at the moment. So there was a discussion about how to fix that, but then we moved on to a discussion as to whether we should just change and adopt the GitHub release notes generation. So that's built in now, so you can get GitHub to generate that change list for you, and then instead use that. So that was really just if anyone has any opinions on that. So we can configure how the release notes look. So currently we have a problem with, as well as this problem here, which is to do with the version, compilation. We also have a problem that if someone in the release note block of a PR puts none, then that change won't appear in the release notes. Where they basically made a change where even if you put none, it would be listed, but it would just take the PR title. So there would, someone's change would always be listed, and it was only if you put a release notes section in there, it wouldn't use the PR title, it would use that note. But they changed that. So as it stands, we missed changes in the release notes, and then we've also got this problem here. So if anyone has any opinions on whether we should or shouldn't adopt the GitHub release notes generation, then it'd be great to capture it, either on this issue or in Slack. We can, because we use the kinds and we generate sections in the release notes, so we can control which kind labels go into which part of the release notes. So you can create categories. So you can configure the release notes generation, and then you can say which labels go into that category. So we do have some control of that. And the other thing it does give us as well, that I personally like, I don't know if everyone else does, is, let me just have a look. So it will look something like that. But if you go away, so what it also automatically does is it identifies new contributors, and it explicitly puts a section in there, say, hey, Sule made his first contribution with this change, which is quite a nice thing to have, I think. But yeah, if anyone has opinions strongly, or whether strongly or weakly, either way, it'd be great to capture them on the issue. So SIG isn't here, so we can jump ahead to Abhinav and the conversion functions.
Yeah, sure. So I might not be much familiar with how the conversion functions are currently implemented within the entire repository, but I was seeing some auto-generated functions for the conversion, and they were kind of recursion back, not recursion, but they were calling one another repeatedly, and I was not sure how I would implement it personally, because the reference that you gave me for implementing one of my own, I looked at the current implementation for other conversion functions, and they were referencing some other auto-generated functions. So it was a bit of a messy approach for me. I didn't really know what I could do at that point.
Yeah, the conversion functions are horrible. So there's a code generation part. So you might have seen it in the make file. So they are very scary. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, conversion, that's what we want. Yeah. So we have we use this tool called conversion gen. You'll see it there. So that basically does, it will do the code generation. So you'll see the ZZZ files. So we make sure we run that, but that does take into account whether you've got a function, you've written your own function as well. So it will auto generate function names for you and all that sort of stuff. But then if you've created your own function, it sort of takes that into account as well. So let's go to API. So what that generates is this, the ZZ underscore. So this is is this the bit you were referring to, Abhinav?
Yeah, and apparently some other, let's say, let me just give you one example.
Or if you wanted to share your screen, we could do that.
Yeah, sure.
Let me just check.
I think it's disabled at the moment.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, let me. Yeah, let me.
Sorry, are we recording this session?
Yeah, we are. Actually, before we get into that, do you want to do? You had one agenda item, so we could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to?
Sharing at the
sure.
moment, please.
Yeah. Let me go back to the. Then we can go back to that.
Sorry, I am late today.
No, that's all good. Why can't I find my window? Sorry. Let me just share again. Cool, there we go. Cool, go for it, Sadef.
Okay, yeah. So this is about our LFX mentorship. It is accepted and now accepting applications, and we need to do the design before March, and to make it ready for the intern to pick up the issues. And one more thing I want to mention is Google Summer of Code applications are open. If anyone has any topics that wants to add, I mean, I can definitely go ahead and do the application. I will probably not be volunteering to mentor for this Google Summer of Code because I will do it this spring. Couple of possible projects that could be suitable for this internship is support for open telemetry, and another thing is introducing fault injector, AWS fault injector, to increase our test reliability. Those two are a very self-contained two issues if we wanna go ahead and do it. But yeah, let me know if you are interested in mentoring. We can do the submission together, because I think you need to be a project maintainer to submit. And yeah, one more thing I want to mention before moving on is I built Flatcar stable image for Kubernetes v1.23.3 version. Going forward, we will be maintaining these Flatcar images for the new Kubernetes versions too. There's no one on the Flatcar side in the call. I wanted to chat about if they want to also build beta and alpha Flatcar images, which I'm thinking will be too much to maintain, and just building stable releases should be enough, given that these are only reference images. Those are not supposed to be used in production, actually. So yeah, just wanted to bring this up also. I'm done.
Cool, thanks, Sadef. One thing we did also talk about, Sadef, was that you may be interested in was the release notes generation. So that 3153, and whether we adopt the GitHub release notes generation tooling instead.
I'm +1 to that, and I like the idea that we don't have to have some custom code to actually create those bugs, cleanups sections for the release notes. Yeah, definitely we can go ahead and change that. I am having issues with it as well. So.
Cool. All right, I will. Yeah, I'll update the issue then. Brilliant. Cool. So, shall I? Does anyone else have any agenda items before we come back to the fun of conversion functions? No. Cool. Shall I stop recording at this point, and then we can then Abhinav, then you can screen share, and then we can discuss conversion functions. Cool. Okay. Okay. I will stop recording now.